All right, Shalom Israel, giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Kala Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostle, elders, bishops, great millstone. My salutation to the brother, teaching word for the hopeful elect. Soon to be the elect, most high will. Shorten the time for the elect's sake, within the time to elect. The elect work is being done, and to the contrite spirits, the extended elect returning back to the most high. Sincerity, blessings, men, women, and children. And, this quick video about the curses. I got this video is from Bizarre History, and it says the caption is disturbing truth about breeding farms during slavery. And I'm gonna play it real quick, the end of it, into, what is it? 9 minutes and 29. And he's talking about, how the ideal of the advancement, wanting to, slaves being a marketing tool, a merchandise product, going into where these slaves, so-called slave masters, which is part of the elite system, turned, this slavery connection, so to speak, to by the means of breeding, made banks and mortgage system. So if you have a Israelite that own a house, but he's still paying mortgage, whatever, property taxes, that means he's still in slavery. It's a different form of slavery. I mean, hey, Jake don't want to believe he's in slavery now, But it even says in Baruch, you are yet this day in your captivity. So, and, if you have a black business, I want to get into more economics, because it's a such thing as called proprietor. If I'm pronouncing, I got to go back to that word later. Proprietor. And a lot of these black businesses, they're so-called self-owned, what have you. They're not a part of they're not a shareholder. They're not a part of a bigger system, bigger support that to allow their business to flourish and to become, a prosperous business, years and years, just like those so-called white businesses. And I'll explain that a little bit later in the near future video, most high willing. But that's why you don't have, black businesses flourishing in the black communities. That's one reason. So even if there is the know of black businesses, you're not going to see that all through the earth, all through these different states in the black community. So let me just, hopefully that made sense, but let me play a little bit of this.
Most shockingly, the slave...
Turn it up. And this is another video they have, Truth About White Slave Trade, Forgotten History. I'm going to check that out and see what that's about. But
trade over the opening decades of the 1800s took slaves from property to securities. The humanist side of taking people's personhood and reducing them to property has long been outlined in the history books. The legal side of turning people into property has been less explored, quite possibly for its stomach-turning consequence. Slave owners of the 1830s wanted more capital in their states and realized a way to do it through the lack of legal status any slave had, by mortgaging them.
See, mortgaging them. Now you're going to talk about the banks.
Were set up in informative southern states, in their states, and realized a way to do it through the lack of legal status any slave had, by mortgaging them. Banks were set up in informative southern states, including
Banks were set up in southern states. And, when you get into, let's say you have slaves and there's no legal system, or you have a legal system, and to where, the slaves say, well, they complain to the legal system, they complain, so to speak, to authorities, and then you set up a legal system um, regarding, the jurisdiction and laws, new laws, a banking system, to where even if you did complain, and let's say you're a slave making $5 a month, or $3 a month or something, and you get into a legal matter, then they can have you traded off, to another, um, plantation, and through a contractual agreement, by that one slave master to the next. So, that caused the breakup of families. That caused to where, you really hadn't, even less say, you know, or less proof of moral misconduct, because they were, they they tried to draw structure from the Bible. That's why they were using the Bible at one point, heavily using the Bible at one point. You saw that in Django, where the character Leonardo Caprio played. He quoted scriptures actually from the Bible. So they excluded more of the moral code and got into the legal matters, or the legal structure of to kind of mimic the Bible, like according to these policies, according to this stipulations, and if you don't follow these policy stipulations, you're doing pretty much wrong, or according to that, according to that stipulation, according to that that policy written. So they kind of created their own fabrication of a moral code within the legal system. Now, you know, so now it's like, well, nah, you're not following the policy. Like at a job, kick you out, take your you know take your family, take your child, separate you from your husband or your wife or whatever. So, and if you had black farmers, you know, and you had such thing as farmers market and all that, and little owned property and all that, to where the liberation, so-called liberation of slaves, and you're a free man, and then you had, well, you had property, or you saved enough money, you over the decades, you know, you like 70 years old by now, making $5 a month, but you saved enough money and buy you a little property. And then the legal matters came in. Oh, well, this is private property, or this is so and so's property. This is, well, I got my money. No, you're unable to buy this property because it belongs to so and so, which is, the president or CEO of this institution, whatever it may be. So, that was another capital move by the so-called white man to keep Jake down. Anyway, let's see what he says more.
Louisiana and Mississippi, where slaves were mortgaged as properties to the banks.
To the banks. So they got a banking system. So have you ever heard of a Negro having his own banking system? Black Wall Street is as close as it got. But look what happened. That was taken down in like pretty much overnight. So, and how was that possible too? Because the leaders in the main man that struck the oil well, or had the oil, and had he was linked in with politics, you know, and he probably said, well, we're gonna, he's probably telling them everything. We're gonna have black business, and we're gonna be able to be like you guys, the so-called white man. We're gonna be have our own states and all that. They was like, nah, we gotta stop this Negro. That's what Jake do. He ended up trusting the system. He ended up trusting the government officials or what have you, or mimicking them so much. It says, envy not the oppressor in the scriptures. I'll get that, but let me get this scripture right quick. It won't be long. Deuteronomy 28:44, he shall lend to thee. This is the curses that the Most High said, your enemy he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. So you have Jake going into business, but they need business loans. They need a financial advisor of some sort. They don't really have a treasury department. It's just from what they call ground up today. It says, he shall be the head and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, talking to Israel, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever to this very day. Why can I make enough money to, overall own a business and feed my whole family and feed the black community and why can we own states and why can we have our own military and all that? And now Jake, he don't think, he used to think in a more broad way for his people. Now he's thinking of self, like, let me just, worry about me and my family. Because there's so much, so many stipulations, legal policies that regard business, so they created this legal system, contractual methods. Apostle Bar every now and then mention paper yokes. Everything is on paper now. What it says, well, that's another, he shall come up above thee very high, King James Version. That's within the same chapter of the curses. It says, come on, man. It says, Deuteronomy 28. Where is it at? And you can read 28 and 15 and on down. It mentions the blessings first, verse 1 through 14, and then 15 it says, thou shalt not hearken to the Lord, power to do all his commandments, statute what he commanded this day, then all these curses shall come upon thee. And then you read the curses. It says, Deuteronomy 28:43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And that's just the case. And now that we in the days of, all these platforms, TikTok, online business, IG, women often use OnlyFans page and all that, and these different platforms to where you can, it's a payment method attached to them, to where you can make a little bit of money, but overall, you're not going to be able to own your own business to where you're able to have a banking system, or some treasury department, or, a $1 trillion investment, that seemed promising to where you could in the future own states and own, even own people, so to speak, as form of employees, So those curses are here now. Yet this day in our captivity, King James Version. Baruch 3:8, which is an Apocrypha, they took out, Apocrypha mean hidden book, is a red book that we use, that was part of the Bible, you can find it in 1611. Baruch 3:8, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. So when you do own a business, you gotta put up money up front. You gotta invest. You gotta hire employees. You gotta go according to their policies, which may include the taxes, property taxes. You paying a certain amount for this. Maybe you're gonna use a machine and to run electricity, and you need power, and you need certain location of property. Well, yeah, you can't. Well, this is a business. This is a popular business area, sir. And you have to pay by those means to not only compete with the other businesses, but having them front money to actually become a business. And like it's known, like and then you still have competition out there. So if Jake have a popular chicken shop on a popular street, and his business does pretty good in the first year, they're gonna put a new chicken business right across the street. Man, they have a more they have more powerful elements to add to their business for attraction. So where people be like, oh, y'all giving free samples, or y'all giving on Thursday, y'all giving this kind of deal, and Jake don't got really, he can't really afford it that way. So what did he end up doing? Selling his business. So these are curses, man. This is a whole. Jake don't understand this the banking families and all that. They have and all these the shareholders, and they usually call them crop shares and all that, and it exceeds what Jake is able to do. As even as a whole, as so-called what he's called black community. So now Jake is like self-business. He's on these platforms of, oh, I'll just open up a small business online. But pretty soon Esau's gonna approach him like, well, you're gonna have to pay for a site. You're gonna have to pay for this and that and that. Subject to payments, pretty much. Anyway, what else? I wanted to get another scripture. You shall gather. Yeah, it's part of the curses I'm reading in Deuteronomy. You shall sow much, but gather less, in King James Version. And also, you shall build a house and not dwell in it. That's in there. You shall gather the grapes, but not reap the benefits, King James Version. Come on, man. You shall build a house and not dwell therein, King James Version. Deuteronomy 28:30. Deuteronomy 28:30, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. That happened in slavery, and it happens now. Because we're scattered, and it's chaotic, the families are broken up. But that happened with so-called white man coming in, raping women, and because once you lie down with a woman, that's your wife. Doesn't have to be no contractual agreement like the so-called white man. Doesn't have to be on paper. Sex constitutes marriage. You're able to have a child out of that, even without the paper. So you're connected, through that child, through that act of intercourse. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Yeah. And so forth, man. Like, so there's no economic strategy for the overall black people, Latino, Native American people, as the black community, as the Latino community, where they're able to prosper enough to have a real banking system to where they're able to own much property or states or, you know, or, or vast land, you know, to where they able to produce factories, you know, and industrial instruments, you know, or even gold and silver, you know. So, you know, that's why it says wait up on the Lord, because Jake ain't gonna make it that way, man. It says we shall be redeemed without money, and that's the main thing about business. It's money. Jake want money, man. Everything's a transaction in this place, man. And pretty soon, when this digital currency really hit, they're gonna, you know, go into that MOTB to where, hey, that's how you run a business on the MOTB. That's how you get into, you know, the, you know, the money, the digital money system, the euro or the, you know, they have talked about the Bitcoin people still are into cryptocurrency and all that. I mean, which is, you know, a business, more of a business suggestion, it seems. But anyway, it's like these are curses, man, you know. And this is what they were doing in slavery, breeding, and Jake became property and merchandise, and they prospered. They said back then, slavery, I don't know if they relate to today. I think they related to the money back then. That slavery was a $4.3 trillion money. What do you call it? Money system. You know, that's how much money they produce from breeding slaves. You know, but yeah, even today, for them, Jake is property and mortgage and whatever you have that you have to pay a mortgage property tax, or you have to pay this amount of payments. You know, we shouldn't have to pay anything, man. I mean, you know, in our royal state, we shouldn't have to pay nothing. So that lets you know, without the Most High, we're not going to reach that royalty of, you know, being exempt from that, to where we have to pay for everything. Jake had to pay for everything, man. So Most High said you're going to be redeemed without money, man. It also said rich labor not to be rich, you know. So you have to balance yourself and know where you fit into society and the value of your lifestyle. And it shouldn't be according to the so-called white man's property value, which is Jake be like women telling Jake he ain't shit because he don't got a car. He ain't shit because he don't have a house. He ain't shit because he don't have a six figures. That's that so-called white man shit, the system shit. And if Jake value himself accordingly, then that's what, you know, kind of status he's going to remain. The real valuable man is the Israelite man, and I mean the elect Israelite man, you know, because he's not fashioned into the worldly economics to think that he's going to be a great what do you call it? A great necessity to America and their money system. I mean, come on, man. You can't loan the elites any money for them to, you know what I'm saying, for you to make a proposition of, you know, for business sake, to where you're able to help them and benefit them. They already own the world, man. Hopefully that made sense. Anyway, hopefully it was edifying. To the next video. Shalom.